13th Sustainable Development Goal is climate action, taking urgent action to tackle climate change and its impacts. The climate crisis continues unabated as the global community shies away from the full commitment required for its reversal. 2010 to 2019 was warmest decade ever recorded, bringing with it massive wildfires, hurricanes, droughts, floods, and other climate disasters across continents. Climate change is affecting every country in the world. It is disrupting national economies and affecting lives and livelihoods, especially for the most vulnerable. Weather patterns are changing, sea levels are rising, and weather events are becoming more extreme, affecting more than 39 million people in 2018. If left unchecked, climate change will cause average global temperatures to increase beyond 3 degrees Celsius and will adversely affect every ecosystem. Already, we are seeing how climate change can exacerbate storms and disasters and threats such as food and water scarcity, which can lead to conflict. The world must transform its energy, industry, transport, food, agriculture, and forestry systems to ensure that we can limit global temperature rise to well below 2 degrees Celsius, maybe even 1.5 degrees Celsius. In December 2015, the world took a significant first step by adopting the Paris Agreement, in which all countries committed to action to address climate change. Global climate related financial flows saw a 17% rise from 2013 to 2016, largely due to private investment in renewable energy, which represents the largest segment in total climate related flows to amount of $681 billion. However, investment in fossil fuels continues to be higher than in climate activities to the amount of $781 billion in 2016. To achieve a low carbon, climate resilient transition, a much greater scale of annual investment is required. In 2019, at least 120 of the 153 developing countries had undertaken activities to formulate and implement national adaptation plans to enhance climate adaptation and resilience, an increase of 29 countries over the previous year. Furthermore, progress in meeting the 2020 disaster risk reduction target has been slow. 14th Sustainable Development Goal is life below water. To conserve and sustainably use the world's ocean, seas, and marine resources. Oceans are our planet's life support and regulate the global climate system. They are the world's largest ecosystem, home to nearly a million known species and containing vast untapped potential for scientific discovery. Oceans and fisheries continue to support the global population's economic, social, and environmental needs. Despite the critical importance of conserving oceans, decades of irresponsible exploitation have led to an alarming level of degradation. The ocean absorbs around 23% of annual CO2 emissions generated by human activity and helps mitigate the impacts of climate change. The ocean has also absorbed more than 90% of the excess heat in the climate system. Ocean heat is at record levels, causing widespread marine heat waves, threatening its rich ecosystems and killing coral reefs around the world. Increasing levels of debris in the world's oceans are also having a major environmental and economic impact. Every year, an estimated 5 to 12 million metric tons of plastic enters the ocean, costing roughly $13 billion per year, including cleanup costs and financial losses in fisheries and other industries. About 89% of plastic litter found on the ocean floor are single-use items like plastic bags. About 80% of all tourism takes place in coastal areas. The ocean-related tourism industry grows an estimated $134 billion per year, and in some countries, the industry already supports over a third of the labor force. Unless carefully managed, tourism can pose a major threat to the natural resources on which it depends and to local culture and industry. Marine fisheries provides 57 million jobs globally and provide the primary source of protein to over 50% of the population in least developed countries. For open ocean and deep sea areas, sustainability can be achieved only through increased international cooperation to protect vulnerable habitats. Establishing comprehensive, effective, and equitably managed systems of government protected areas should be pursued to conserve biodiversity and ensure a sustainable future for the fishing industry. We should eliminate plastic usage as much as possible and organize beach cleanups. 15th Sustainable Development Goal is life on land. To sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. Forests cover nearly 30% of our planet's land area. From the air we breathe, to the water we drink, to the food we eat, forests sustain us. Forests are home to more than 80% of all terrestrial species of animals, plants, and insects. However, biodiversity is declining faster than at any other time in human history. Globally, one-fifth of the Earth's land area, more than 2 billion hectares, are degraded, an area nearly the size of India and the Russian Federation combined. Land degradation is undermining the well-being of some 3.2 billion people, driving species to extinction and intensifying climate change. Lost forests mean the disappearance of livelihoods in rural communities, increased carbon emissions, diminished biodiversity, and the degradation of land. While forest loss remains high, 2020 data shows that the proportion of forests in protected areas and under long-term management plans increased or remained stable at the global level and in most regions of the world. An irreversible effect of human activity on the environment is species extinction, which upsets the balance of nature and makes ecosystems more fragile and less resistant to disruptions. A recent UN report on biodiversity found that around 1 million animal and plant species are now threatened with extinction, many within decades, more than ever before in human history. Increased demand for animal protein, a rise in intense and unsustainable farming, the increased use and exploitation of wildlife, and the climate crisis are all driving the increased emergence of zoonotic diseases, diseases transmitted from wildlife to people like COVID-19. Every year, some 2 million people, mostly in low and middle income countries, die from neglected zoonotic diseases. The same outbreaks can cause severe illness, deaths, and productivity losses among livestock populations in the developing world. A major problem that keeps hundreds of millions of small scale farmers in severe poverty. In the last 2 decades alone, zoonotic diseases have caused economic losses of more than $100 billion, not including the cost of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is expected to reach $9 trillion over the next few years. Some things we can do to help include recycling, eating a locally based diet which is sustainably sourced, and consuming only what we need. We must be respectful toward wildlife and only take part in ecotourism opportunities that are responsibly and ethically run in order to prevent wildlife disturbance. Well-managed protected areas support healthy ecosystems, which in turn keep people healthy. It is therefore critical to secure the involvement of the local communities in the development and management of these protected areas. 16th Sustainable Development Goal is peace, justice, and strong institutions. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. People everywhere need to be free of fear from all forms of violence and feel safe as they go about their lives, whatever their ethnicity, faith, or sexual orientation. Conflict, insecurity, weak institutions, and limited access to justice remain threats to sustainable development. In 2019, the number of people fleeing war, persecution, and conflict exceeded 79.5 million, the highest level ever recorded. 1 in 4 children continues to be deprived of legal identity through lack of birth registration, often limiting their ability to exercise rights in other areas. The COVID-19 pandemic threatens to amplify and exploit fragilities across the globe. Governments, civil society, and communities must work together to implement lasting solutions to reduce violence, deliver justice, combat corruption, and ensure inclusive participation at all times. Freedom to express views in private and in public must be guaranteed. From 2015 to 2019, the United Nations recorded at least 1,940 killings and 106 enforced disappearances of human rights defenders, journalists, and trade unionists across 81 countries. With over half of killings occurring in Latin America and the Caribbean, laws and policies must be applied without any form of discrimination. Disputes need to be resolved through functioning and justice systems. National and local institutions must be accountable and need to be in place to deliver basic services to communities equitably and without the need for bribes. Crimes that threaten the foundation of peaceful societies, including homicides, human trafficking, and other organized crimes, as well as discriminatory laws or practices, affect all countries. Even the world's greatest democracies face major challenges in addressing corruption, crime, and human rights violations for everyone at home. Armed violence and insecurity have a destructive impact on a country's development, affecting economic growth and often resulting in long standing grievances among communities. Violence affects children's health, development, and well being, and their ability to thrive. It causes trauma and weakens social inclusion. Lack of access to justice means that conflicts remain unresolved and people cannot obtain protection and redress. Institutions that do not function according to legitimate laws are prone to arbitrariness and abuse of power and less capable of delivering public services to everyone. To exclude and discriminate not only violates human rights but also causes resentment and animosity and could give rise to violence. Exercise your right to hold your elected officials to account. Exercise your right to freedom of information and share your opinion with your elected representatives. Promote inclusion and respect towards people of different ethnic origins, religions, gender, sexual orientations, or different opinions. Together, we can help to improve conditions for life and dignity for all. 17th Sustainable Development Goal is Partnerships for the Goals. To revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. In light of the consequences of the global COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen that strengthening multilateralism and global partnerships are more important than ever if we are to solve the world's problems. The Sustainable Development Goals remain the framework for building back better. We need everyone to come together: governments, civil society, scientists, academia, and the private sector. We are all in this together. The agenda, with its 17 goals, is universal and calls for action by all countries, both developed countries and developing countries, to ensure no one is left behind. Support for implementing the Sustainable Development Goals has been steady but fragile, with major and persistent challenges. Financial resources remain scarce, trade tensions have been increasing, and crucial data are still lacking. The COVID-19 pandemic is now threatening past achievements, with trade, foreign direct investment, and remittances all projected to decline by up to 40% in 2020. A growing share of the global population has access to the internet, and a technology bank for least developed countries has been established. Yet the digital divide persists. We will need to mobilize both existing and additional resources: technology development, financial resources, capacity building, and developed countries will need to fulfill their official development assistance commitments. Multi-stakeholder partnership will be crucial to leverage the interlinkages between the Sustainable Development Goals to enhance their effectiveness and impact and accelerate progress in achieving the goals. Join or create a group in your local community that seeks to mobilize action on the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. Encourage your governments to partner with businesses for the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. Register your initiatives on the Sustainable Development Goals Partnerships platform to inform, educate, network, and be inspired. If you enjoyed this video, then please like and share this video and do subscribe to this channel.